What is dripping in black? Dripping in black to me is being comfortable in your own skin. There's not one way to be black. Dripping in black and being comfortable in your own skin means embracing all of the excellence, the resilience, the creativity, and just the absolute fabulousness that comes with being black. To me, that's what dripping in black means. This is Candace Johnson, author of The Kitchen Isn't Where You Cook.
Welcome to the Dripping in Black podcast, where we celebrate Black excellence throughout the Black diaspora. Our special guest host is Mr. Al Pete from the MPN Network.
Good day, good afternoon, good evening, my people. It's Mr. Al Pete with the mighty MPN Network. Here again with the Dripping in Black. Dripping in Black. We got to do some stadium music right here, which when I say stadium music, I mean round of applause. So hopefully that sound is going. But thank you for hitting play on this. We are starting season 6. 6 seasons of Black excellence, Dripping in Black. So round of applause for that as well. And I am grateful to be back with you all on this journey through season 6. All right. I am Mr. Al Pete, like I stated. Listen, you're going to be seeing other guest hosts, but still expect to see deep and dynamic conversations from us. It doesn't change up. We are doing the same old thing, same great things. Okay. So a couple announcements before we get to it. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel and also go to the website, drippinginblack.com. Go there. Get all the information from the other guests that have been on there. Shouts out to Dominic Lawson. He's the other host as well. But we have a lot of content that you can catch up on and just listen to some great dynamic stories that have been presented with the Dripping in Black headquarters. Okay. Also, I have a beautiful mug right here, and I got it from the Drip Shop. The Drip Shop, that's right. Please go to DIBKDripShop.com and get you some shirts, get you some mugs and all that stuff, some beautiful things over there. So go to DIBKDripShop.com to get you some swag from the Dripping in Black headquarters, okay? All right, so without further ado, we have our first guest that's going to kick off season 6. Season 6. Miss Candace Johnson. Let me get to the bio and read about that. And then we're going to bring her on and have a very great conversation with her. All right. Candace Johnson is a 2023 Herson Wright Fiction Fellow and journalism graduate of Michigan State University. From my understanding, they say go green, and then somebody else says go white.
That's correct. You got it.
I caught on to that very quickly before we even started. All right. She spent her first half of her career as a sports writer and entertainment editor at the Virginian Pilot and the Indianapolis Star before making a switch into corporate communications for the pharmaceutical and biotech industries. Her indie novel, The Kitchen Isn't Where You Cook, was released in December of 2024 on all digital platforms as a paperback on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Books A Million, and more. And she currently lives in the Northwest Chicago suburbs with her husband and 2 children. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make some noise for Miss Candace Johnson. How are you doing today, ma'am?
No, it's not. I'm very well. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Good. Thank you for being here. And we're here to learn your story and to honor you in this Dripping in Black atmosphere, okay?
Awesome. It's funny I'm on a podcast. I'm not a big podcast listener, but now I guess I need to be.
I mean, it's fine. It's okay to not be a podcast listener. I mean, but for the people, well, if anything, that expands your reach because
Right.
If you're not familiar with that atmosphere, there are people in this atmosphere that do love stories like this that we're about to hear. So there's no worries on that at all. Just
Good.
we're welcoming you into that space.
Well, it's a perfect place for me to start being a fan. Love it.
Yeah, and honestly, from one fellow communications nerd to another communications, I wouldn't call you a nerd.
You calling me a nerd? Yeah,
You
that's
call
fine. I've been called a nerd.
Well, from one person to another, you understand the dynamics of telling a story and being able to exhibit yourself freely in that and that space that you sit in. So you understand how that goes when it comes to interviews and stuff. It matters, but it doesn't matter exactly what spaces that you're in. So
Right. As long as the story gets told.
long as the story gets told. Yes, ma'am. So
Mm-hmm.
let's start off. So it was on Thread. Shout out to Sean Smith, the Dripping in Black boss and king. He connected us in Thread, saying that, and we hope that we possibly had ran into each other at the recent NABJ 50th National Convention, right?
In Cleveland, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cleveland. So,
Yeah. That's
and you
good.
stated this isn't your that wasn't your first.
No. So,
Okay.
as a journalism major at Michigan State, so I worked at the student newspaper way back when, they had the student portions of an ABJ. I think the first one I went to might have been in Detroit, possibly. So, I've been to NJBJ years. We just used to go all the time. Even after I left the industry and joined PR, I would know what a powerful audience that was, and I part of it was like, let me still go. How can I find a way to go just to interact with people? So whether I was in media relations or corporate communications, I knew it was a perfect spot to go to reach the media, to reach media of color, and to get our stories told from a brand perspective. So
Mhm.
I would go even after I left the industry, and we'd do different sponsorships and everything else. So then all the years that I went, I would go to the author showcase, or I would look to see who would be there. Or I'd go to the bookstore that was at the convention, and I would say, someday that's going to be my book. Someday I'm going to be up there. And this year I applied for the author showcase, and lo and behold, I was accepted, thankfully. And I got to share the story of my coming of age novel, The Kitchen Isn't Where You Cook. And it was fabulous.
Nice, nice. So,
Yeah.
well, congratulations on that.
Yeah.
I was looking through the Instagram, and it seemed as if it was a good success for you, for you and your book, and just being on that side of things. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
First time being there. It was surreal actually signing some books like I was a real author. But I guess if you get a book out there, you write anything, you're a real author. Whether you're a bestseller novel or not, whether it's been turned into a Netflix show or not, if you write something, whether it's published or not, you're an author. So it was just surreal just signing the book like, wow, this is what I've been dreaming of since the second grade. Whether I'm able to do it full time or not, you still consider yourself an author, because I considered myself a writer since I picked up a pencil. So whether it's best selling or not, the fact that it's out there, whether it's, how many people read the story, however many it resonates with, is enough for me. It's fulfilling enough.
Indeed, indeed. I have a question before we get into the actual book.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when it comes to being an author and then being in the communication space, right? Um, is it I don't want to say a downplay, but do you feel like authors have an existing space, or like, I guess, a comfortable space in the media or communication space? Because it feels like, to me, it feels like when you're an author and you have your book, right? It fits perfectly in the communication space or anywhere existing when it comes to journalism, but
Mm-hmm.
it does seem like distant, or it doesn't seem it seems distant. And I don't want to make it, I don't want to say anything incorrect or
Yeah.
offensive or whatnot, but I would like your thoughts on that, because I know a lot of authors that I feel like should be in the communication space.
Because they're so good at marketing. It's funny you say that, because when I released it, it was like you said, it was self-published in December. And at the time, I put it on all my other social channels, Instagram, Threads, Facebook. And then I thought for a minute, oh, this doesn't belong on LinkedIn. Like, this has nothing to do with my job. So I'm not going to post it on LinkedIn. But then I thought, wait a minute. Yeah, it has everything to do with my job, because it touches on identity and diversity and inclusion and everything else. So that's kind of how I couched it when I did put it on LinkedIn. And the response there was, "This is wonderful. This is great. I can't believe you're doing this. This is fabulous." So all of my colleagues, everyone I've worked with, didn't seem to see. They didn't look at that post and think, "Why is she posting it?" They looked at it like, "This is wonderful. This is an addition to everything else that we know you're capable of as a communicator." But when it comes to the actual work, obviously it has to be separate. all the, I'm a mother of two kids. Definitely my job takes up a lot of space, a lot of time. So any writing that I would do would have to be on the weekends. I'm not a night owl, so I couldn't write deep into the night like some other people. So that part, the actual process of doing it, I have to keep very separate. But the marketing part, just knowing that I have this communications background and I'm able to do PR, I can write a press release, I know who to reach out to, and I know how algorithms work and all of that for social media. I think that benefits me a lot. More than maybe some other writers, possibly. Who knows? Because I know some other people who've done some self-publishing since I did, and they said, "Well, how did you get on an NBJ, or how did you get this, or how did you do that?" And I said, "Well, it's kind of stuff that I do every day. I do it for the people I work with. I do it for executives. Why can't I do the same for myself?"
Yeah, that's a um I don't have the word for it, but I'm going to say like I want to say cash cow. It sounds so.
I wish.
If I would call you a cash cow, we'll be having this
Who you
conversation on
talking
a
to,
yacht.
Cam?
But like, yeah, it just gives you a very high advantage for you to
I'm right.
be creative as well as know how to like market the creative. And I it's a very few amount of people that I know that can like really play that line like very very well. So that advantage is like it's a very strong advantage to have. So
It is, but it was
congratulations on that.
hard though because as a writer, you're in the background. You're used to being alone and writing and everything else. And as a PR person, I'm doing everything for the executives, like I said, or for the company. I was never the center. And as a journalist, you don't put yourself in the middle of the story.
Yeah.
So for me to put myself out there, that part was difficult. I knew what to do, but to make myself vulnerable like this with a story that was so close to home, that part was difficult.
Yeah. I got you. So let's get into the story.
Okay.
Well, let's get into the book. The book titled "The Kitchen Isn't Where You Cook."
Yes.
Yeah, the kitchen, and I'm just going to read a small insert from Amazon. It's Marissa Logan, correct? Am I saying that
Uh-huh.
correctly? Yes,
Yeah, she's
Marissa
the main
Logan
character.
is a
Yeah.
black girl who doesn't know how to be black. In the coming of age novel, The Kitchen Isn't Where You Cook, we see Marissa grow up in a small white Michigan town in the 80s as the only black girl in school. Sure, she's pretty smart and popular, but none of that can mask the fact that she's different.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about that. Let's break that down.
So, Bert, but I'm going to ask you a question too. So, based on that blurb, do you understand what the title means?
When I think of the title and I see 80s and I think about that she's a black girl, I do pause for a minute and kind of think about like why the title was there, because I think if it was based maybe a little bit earlier, I don't know, I might would be understanding, but if you could,
Really?
yeah,
So I explained it in MBJ, and a few others. Obviously, anyone who's non-melanated would not understand it, even after I explain it. So most of the time, I just kind of go, "This kitchen." So it's the kitchen and the bed, the nape of your head, nape of your neck. And she didn't know that's what it meant. When I say she's a black girl that doesn't know how to be black, she didn't know, oh, you're not talking about the kitchen where we cook. You're talking about the kitchen back here where her cousin's like, girl, yeah, you didn't know that? What's going on with you? So that's kind of where the whole thing summarizes it. Like she goes through life as a black woman, well, mostly her childhood, but there's certain things she just does not know because it's the 80s. There's no Soul Train. There's no black boys to date, no R&B radio stations, any of that. No black kids, no black boys to date, no one to hang out with to learn those things. They have Jet Magazine in their house. They have Ebony in their house. Their parents try their best. But if you're surrounded and the closest black community is an hour away and it's the 80s, you don't have social media. You don't have cable television and BET at your disposal to learn just any pop culture thing that young kids would want to know.
mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where the title came from. It's not just the only thing she doesn't know, that this is what we call the kitchen. It's just so many other things regarding growing up black and she was proud of who she is. She definitely knows she's black. But when she's younger, she thinks the best way to get along is to assimilate, because that's all she knows. Like, I'm going to like what they like. I'm going to try to do my hair like them. But then as she grows, she understands, why are they asking me why I use cocoa butter? Or why are they asking me why I don't wash my hair every day like they do? So as she grows, she understands that okay, I know I'm different, but it doesn't matter to me. They're still my friends. But then she realizes that they also look at her like, okay, you're popular and pretty and smart, but you're still not one of us. You know, you have to be twice as good to get half as much, and you will only have half as much as far as we're concerned. So that's kind of everything she has to grapple with growing up. I wanted to make her above and almost not even as good or as smart or popular as anyone else, but the Black excellence is just off the charts with when it comes to her. And that's what I wanted. I wanted all things to be equal, more than equal with her, but still have this attitude toward her from her so-called friends and her classmates that you're still not one of us and you're still not good enough. You have to stay over in that lane because you're Black.
Right. Sounds like identity. Well, one of the many things
Mm-hmm.
being spoke about in this book is about the whole identity action. Um, what made you go that route in regards to the identity? Is it something that, especially presenting this at like at NABJ? I mean, of course, you think of NABJ, it's predominantly Black. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to bring your book into a space like that, did how was that received, or what was the mission in regards to that? In regards to the identity part.
Yeah, so it was a lot of it's coming of age based on my own story. I grew up in a small white
Okay.
town in the
Okay.
80s in Southwest Michigan. No stoplight, no McDonald's, no Black people. And again, it was Kalamazoo was about an hour east of us.
Mhm.
And we used to have to go to, me and my siblings would go to Benton Harbor, which was nearby and mostly Black. And we'd take the Jet magazine with us. If you remember in Jet, at the end of the magazine, they had a list of the top 10 albums and the top 10 singles. We take that to the record store in Benton Harbor and basically ask the guy, hey, of all of these, what should we buy? Like, we don't know half of these songs. So what would you suggest we buy? And that was the only way that we could just figure out what was going on in R&B world. So it's kind of based loosely on my upbringing. But to your question about NABJ, I thought the same thing because my husband's from Flint and there are people, and he's never read the story. He said, I know your story. Why do I need to read it? You've told me everything. But people in his family who grew up with nothing but Black kids in their school wouldn't relate. He went to Michigan State as I did, and he got there and he had a different identity crisis. I got there like, whoa, Black people. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. He got there like, why are all these white people here? We didn't have white people in my town, in his high school. So it was a totally different identity crisis or culture shock for him. And so I thought for a minute, like, who's the audience for this? Like, would Black people really get this if they grew up around nothing but Black folks? But what I found at NABJ and from some of the reviews I've seen is that even if you grew up differently than I did, at some point, whether it's in college or post grad or corporate America, you will be the only one, and you will be seen as less than, no matter how many accomplishments you have. You will be seen as you only, a lot of you got this because of isms, you got this because of different affirmative action, or you got this because of quotas or anything else. So but that's what I found at NBJ. A few people grew up just like I did, they told me, and then others would say, I went through this in the newsroom. I went through this, in corporate America. I went through this when I went to get my graduate degree. So that identity aspect, whether they can relate to growing up like that or just being seen later in life as not good enough no matter what you do, or having your ideas stolen from you because of who you are, or just not being listened to, or having your ideas shared and people not really giving you the credit for it. That's the things that they could relate to when it comes to this identity theme in this book.
Mm, very good, very good, very good. I
It's a
mean,
lot.
because when you think of when you think of the culture shock, well, it's to me one side of it is like I want people to know that I or the character, people that read a book, that the character exists in this world that that possibly people don't even know about. Like,
Right.
it's that shocking, it's that one shocking factor. But then you have the other factor as well, where it's like, well, maybe I could exist in this space and I might not see anything wrong or whatever. But there's some form of awareness that needs to exist in this situation, especially when I'm reading more in the Amazon thing where it's stating about the 2016 election. So when you're thinking about that type of stuff, you're like, okay, there's a awareness that needs to happen. There's like
Mhm.
yeah, it's that pull and tug type situation.
Right, right.
Yeah,
She goes through this huge pendulum swing. So,
sure.
when she's really young, it starts off, she's like in the fourth grade. So I just wanted to paint the picture of this
Mhm.
utopia in her mind. Like,
Yeah.
I love my town. I would never want to leave here. I love all my friends. Everything's hunky dory. Everything's great. And then she starts to swing as she gets older, with all these different things happen to her, and she starts to think, I got to get out of here. The small town is smothering me. But then in college, she swings to the total opposite end, the 90s, fight the power era. She's wearing the Malcolm X hat and the,
Yeah.
African medallion and all that. Then
Mhm.
as an adult, she kind of comes to the middle where, okay, I have to coexist in white corporate America, but now I'm more aware. I know woke is an inflammatory term and with certain audiences, but she's pretty much woke. Like, okay, when I was younger, I was naive. I trusted way more than I probably should have. But through all the different hurts that happened to her, she goes back to the middle and she gets this whole I can coexist, but I don't have to. I can be
Code
aware.
switch or anything.
Right. I don't have, right. I can be aware now and I can arm myself with what I need to deflect all the hits that are going to come my way.
Mm.
So she has
Yeah.
a huge pendulum swing. Yeah.
Yeah. Something that swing can knock you out too,
Right. Right.
especially the character. So you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but
Yeah.
did you experience that swing? And when I say that swing, meaning like did that swing hit you, or you just kind of noticed, or you kind of rolled with the swing, the
Well,
coexisting swing?
my mother was really, well, my siblings called her militant. I didn't call her militant. She integrated Western Kentucky University when she was in high school, when she was a college student. So as a freshman, she and four classmates were the first blacks to enroll at Western Kentucky back in the 50s. All of them lasted 1 year. It was so horrible. And they switched and then transferred to HBCU. So I grew up with that knowledge about Black history and Black culture and Black self love. So that was never a question. But I always used to wonder, why did you move us here then? Like, what the heck are we doing here if you're
Mhm.
so pro Black and, you're teaching us all of this stuff? And so I had that in my head, but I still trusted because I grew up ever since kindergarten. I was nothing but white classmates always. So a lot of the hurts that she goes through and when she's younger are similar to what happened. We call them microaggressions now. Back then, it was just someone being a jerk.
I
Like,
about to
no
say
one.
that was just straight up hate.
Right. Not and thing that's the thing. I didn't want that. I didn't want the major trauma that you see in some books or movies. I didn't want the N-word to be slinging at her. I didn't want her to be an outcast. I didn't want crosses burned. I didn't want any police shootings. I wanted it to be subtle, but so subtle that it was like death by a thousand cuts.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, your hair is greasy. Oh my gosh, you don't wash it every week? Or you look burnt. Like very first chapter, this kid says, what you burn, your skin looks burnt, you left in the oven too long. Those types of little things, while she's just trying to enjoy life, she's just trying to go to school, be a cheerleader, do whatever, like the boy she likes. But as she's doing that, all these little cuts come her way, and the
Yeah.
same thing happened to me. It really did. But it wasn't to the point like her where she was just ready to go. Like I still stayed friends with a lot of people after high school, after college as well. But as I got older and the external environment started to change a lot, that's when I thought, okay, some of the people I knew back then probably had these same tendencies that I'm seeing in 2016, but I just didn't know it at the time because they were just my friends and we're just
Right.
trying to live life. But I did have the same pendulum swing in college. Like I said, the Malcolm X had, participated in a sit-in in 1989 at Michigan State, all of that. And then again, after college in the newsroom, kind of swung back toward the middle.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking like I guess my pendulum swing moments when most people were like, well, you got to be a musician, and that was like their nice way of saying like, oh, he's definitely hip hop, like being
Mm-hmm.
in them spaces. And I'm like, yeah, like, and the irony of that is I'm a DJ and a hip hop artist, but I know for me, I find myself in those troubles even till this day when I'm trying to get into like the media spaces, the media spectrum of things. It's like they kind of keep you back. It's those subtle cuts,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
almost like it hurts more getting those versus being blatantly called,
Right,
yeah.
right. Because it's almost like you don't see it coming, or you don't know how deep the cut is until days later. Like there's sometimes in corporate America, back when we were in the office every day, I'd
Mhm.
sit in conference rooms and someone would be speaking, and I'd watch their eyes, and they'd make eye contact with everyone, skip over me. And I'd watch this repeatedly in several different jobs. I'd watch their eyes, and they'd go around the room and speak and watch, they make eye contact, skip over me like I was invisible, and then go to the
Wow.
next person, next person. That happens several times, several times.
Wow.
And it's so subtle that you're like, do you make a big deal out of it or do you not? Like, do they even know that that's happening?
But it's almost like, and I would like to fully read the book, but like I'm just thinking from my perspective or any other perspective, it's almost like you get kind of stuck on not wanting to say anything because you're scared of the repercussions,
Right,
and you're
right.
thinking
And you're a
about,
black woman. Yeah.
as a black woman, black person or whatnot, you thinking like, okay, well, they already, you feel like that you're here for a reason, or it's a privilege that you're here, and
Right.
then
Just be
so
happy. Just be grateful. Yeah.
right, that's the cut. what One of the many cuts of the
One of
situation.
the
So
many cuts. And
yeah.
for that you have to grow a hard skin. So it won't cut so deep. Or, you don't want to go around paranoid all the time, but you almost expect it. You're almost always on the edge, like, okay, once they see I'm black and once they see what I'm talking about, are they still gonna listen to me? Or are they just gonna, repeat what I said and take credit for their own? You just never know. So those types of microaggressions, back then it wasn't that. I don't know what we called it back in the day, but it was just so and so's being a jerk, or guess what so and so said to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just learned that word. Maybe, I mean, doing grad school. I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
I graduated from grad school in December 2024, but I remember writing a paper about microaggressions and thinking like, oh man, we go through this a lot.
Yeah, a lot, a lot. A lot.
We don't even realize. I mean, just from like gender, like, I mean, race, sex, all that, religion and all that stuff. But when I think about us, like in regards to like black people, I just think how so resilient we are, man. And
Totally.
and let me
It's a
and
miracle
explain.
that we're here. Honestly, it's just a miracle.
Yeah, so and I want to ask this question. The whole without giving it away, could you like talk about the liberating part of her character, Marissa's character? Is there any type of liberating moment or um yeah, a liberating moment?
Yeah, it reflects something that was my liberating moment in college. It's almost like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Okay.
Um, and it was like, because at that point she has black friends and she's more comfortable around blacks, because she gets to college and she's thinking, I'm more comfortable around white people because that's who I grew up with, but I want to be black folks, but they make fun of the way I talk and they don't know where my town is, and I always have to explain it and everything else. And she's thinking, I can be in both worlds. I can bridge, she's like kumbaya, I can bridge both worlds. And eventually, she gets cut again, and that was a straw that broke the camel's back. Like, okay, now I know I can't trust them, can't trust this. I can't get too close because something's always going to come up, and they just won't let me live. They just won't let me live my excellent life
Mhm.
without bringing up race. Because we get the question a lot: why do you always bring up race? Because it's been brought up with us for years, for decades and centuries. That's why, and that's kind of what hits her when she's in college. Like, okay, I'm done. I'm done. And
Yeah.
that was kind of her liberating moment. Like, I'm done trying to bridge the gap. I'm done explaining things. I'm done trying to say, well, answer questions like, why isn't there White History Month? Those types of things she deals with. She's like, I'm just finished. So she kind of throws her hands up and says, I'm done.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Well,
Mm-hmm.
listen, people, please make sure you go get the book. The Kitchen Isn't Where You Cook by Miss Candace Johnson. This is definitely important to black people.
Mm-hmm.
If we can get a little deep on this, not too deep on it, but this is definitely important for us to see and for us to understand that we can still be resilient on this, because I do feel like a lot of people in these type of situations, either give up or maybe take like a road that might not be favorable. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do feel like these this book and just your message on that, giving the message through this book to everybody else is very, very important for African Americans to read.
Yeah. And it shows people, if you think about small towns in the Midwest, what do you think about? White folks. Think about white farmers, white factory workers, because that's all you see on the news. There are black folks in small towns that aren't just in the South. We know there are black folks in the South in small towns, but in the Midwest, there are black people here in flyover country. And
Mhm.
what's their life like? What are they dealing with? You don't see them on the news being interviewed in the cafes on Main Street. You just don't. Why? So this is a whole different perspective of growing up black. Because I keep telling my daughter, there's not one way to be black, and there are black folks in small towns in the Midwest. What is their perspective? What are they going through? How are they living? And that's what I'm hoping will get to come through with this book, because it's a very small rural town that she's in.
Mm. Beautiful, beautiful. Are there any books, or any more books in the making, or you're just going to focus on this for the moment?
Yes. No, I finished one. Was it last year or so? And it has a male main character actually. It's about a marital couple, kind of love story, dealing with the ramifications of their son being diagnosed with autism. Because about 80% of couples get divorced if they have a special needs child, and it deals with. And I have a son who's autistic. He's 16, and a lot of this again is a lived experience. But we know that it's difficult for a lot of married couples. And this story just kind of focuses on him because I don't know if you know Rodney Pete and Holly Robinson Pete. They have a son with autism. And when he was first diagnosed, Rodney wrote a book about how difficult it is for a man to see his son have autism. Like, well, all the dreams I had for him are gone. And that's why I put this with the male point of view, because he has a son with autism and all of his dreams for his son. He always wanted a son. And how does that affect his relationship with his wife?
Well, what's it, Pete Holly?
Holly
Holly Rob?
Robinson,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was watching the show yesterday. I think they was doing a show together. I forgot the name of the show. It's like the King Show or something like that. But that's an
yeah,
interesting fact to know that the divorce rate happens because of a special needs kid. Wow.
yeah. I mean, I think one study said 80%, but it's definitely above average. If the divorce rate is 50, if you have a special needs child, it's higher for sure.
Okay.
So
Cool,
that's
cool.
next.
When is that book coming out again?
It hasn't been read by anyone, so I'm sure I have several revisions to do and more editing and everything else. I'm hoping sometime next year.
Okay. Cool, cool, cool.
Yeah,
Look like
yeah.
you getting in that bag. Look like you getting in
I
that
hope
bag.
so. From your mouth to God's ears.
Nah, we go listen. We gonna champion you on this, especially with this particular book. The kitchen isn't where you cook, because it's such an important story. I think we have our typical black stories, right? We have
Yes.
uh uh the Martin Luther King books, we have those type of books, but we need books like this that kind of breaks it down and gives us a very
Mhm,
different perspective. And I know
mhm.
for me, I tell people a lot, when I went through or go through racism, I didn't go through racism like the typical way where somebody or a white person was calling me the N word or whatever.
Right,
Like it was all systematic.
right.
It was all in the system. Like it
Yep.
was the way and I felt like, and I would explain that to people, and people would be kind of like, "Huh?" And I'm like, all right, let me say this, and then we can move forward. I I talk to people, and I tell them, I'm like, I don't necessarily have a problem with like a white person calling me no, the N word. I don't have a
Mhm.
problem with that, because I look at that as like, well, that's, you have a problem with yourself.
Right.
That don't affect me. Like that don't, you can call me that all day. I'd be like, ha ha, whatever. But the systematic aspect of it, like the suppression aspect of it, oh
Mhm.
my goodness.
The
Like
people in power
you,
will do more harm than, your average guy with the pickup truck calling you that
absolutely
word out of his window.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Like these
Uh-huh.
people, can really like stop my progression. Like I could, like, the whole, I gotta work 10 times harder to get half of what the other person gets.
Mhm.
That suppression is crazy. Like
Yeah,
that's
and it's
hurtful. Like
pervasive.
yeah, like you're
Mhm.
stopping you're stopping generational wealth, and it's just all the things that it could just really destroy. So
Yeah.
these type of stories are very important, and it's something for Black folks to know, and white people, and anybody to know these type of stories exist. So I commend you on like having this story for us to read, and
Thank
we can be
you.
able to teach this to someone, and someone can get inspired to be resilient.
I've had a few reviews from white people on Amazon, I think, and Apple that said this story's for everyone. Like, you need to understand the perspective of the things you say. It's funny. After some people I went to high school with read it, they were all just terrified that, did I say that to you? Was I acting like that with you? Was this me? Are you talking about me? So it's funny that they had that self reflection as they read it. Like, oh wow, I didn't think what I was saying was even harmful because I wasn't thinking in that way. So yeah, it could be eye
Yeah,
opening for a lot of people.
yeah. I'm sitting here trying to pull one real quick, but okay. So I'm about to read an Amazon review, and it says amazing story of how one girl learns about racial injustice while growing up in a small town and then finding her identity along the way. The characters are wonderful. This is not just a story for Black readers. This is a story for all
Yeah,
readers.
that's the one I was referring to. Yeah.
Okay, word. Okay.
That's what I was referring to. Yeah. Because when I was at NABJ, someone said, I think it wasn't in an author showcase, it was with a different session I was in. And they said, we're addicted to trauma porn when it comes to Black stories. Like everything is about racial cop killings or, the Civil War, or slavery, or anything else, and civil rights. That's what the majority of our stories are. And so I purposely did not. My husband, one of the things my husband said was, well, I don't know, you don't have enough sex in here. There's not enough violence. That's the stuff he watches. But I'm like, that's ridiculous because that's not the life that most of us live. We just don't go through that type of racism or violence. I mean, some of us do, which is horrible. But for the majority of us, it's these little microaggressions. It's like you said, it's systemic.
It's
And
those
those
cuts.
stories, yeah, those cuts, and those stories aren't told enough where you just have to sit with it for a minute versus being horrified, like, oh, that's horrible. Oh my gosh. But then sit with it because it's real life.
Yeah. I'm sitting here just thinking about some of the stories that I've, some of the things that I've went through, and yeah, we need
Yeah.
more stories like this. And
Yeah.
and you're right. Everybody does not experience. It's not all about guns and drugs and cops
Hmm.
and all that stuff, man. I know for
Right.
me, and I experienced some of those things, but it wasn't as potent as like you sitting in the corporate America job and
Hmm.
you're the only person in there, and they really looking at you like that you should be privileged to be sitting in here. And you're like,
Right. Just be humble. Just be grateful. There's one time I went into work in different years ago, a different company, and it took me almost 20 minutes after I walked in to see a face that was not white.
hmm,
Almost 20 minutes. 'Cause I purposely said, okay, how many people? And I counted. It was like 32 people or something before I saw one face that looked like mine. Um, and so that did sit you. I mean, people, you don't think about that if you're in the majority. We get asked all the time, why are you self-segregating? This is in the book. Why are you self-segregating? Why are all the Black people together? Do you ever ask that question when all the white people are together? Are you self-segregating? No one even
right,
thinks about that.
right,
Yeah,
right.
those little things. Or when I got into Michigan State, I told some friends, and this one girl said, well, I didn't get in. I'm sure you got in because you were Black. Never mind that my GPA was higher than hers and I did more activities. She literally
never,
said,
never, never mind that.
never mind that. You got in because you're Black, not because you're smart. Yeah. Those little things.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Well, listen,
Mhm.
this is I need to get this book and have it in my collection for sure. I can pass this on to some people that I know will benefit from it. To some people that's close to me that are experiencing this type of energy. So it
Yeah.
would be good to read it or whatever. But again, please, people, The Kitchen Isn't Where You Cook by Candace Johnson. Please make sure you go grab that. It's in Amazon, Books a Million, Barnes and Nobles, and all the places. So please make sure
All
you
the
grab
places,
it.
all the digital places, definitely.
Indeed. So real quick before we finalize this interview, let the people know where. Well, let the people know one thing about the book. Like, let's give the call to action, or the good spill of why they should get the book.
Because there's not one way to be black. I say a lot of the taglines I use is that she's a black girl who doesn't know how to be black, but she knows how to be black. Because she is black. You can't get away from that. You remember that Will Smith, that Fresh Prince episode when I think it was Carlton was trying to get into a fraternity or something,
Hmm.
and the guy said, "Well, you can't get in because you're rich. You're in Beverly Hills or Bel-Air, wherever. You're not like me because you didn't grow up like me." He says, "I'm running the same race as you are, so why are you holding me back? Being black isn't who I'm trying to be. Being black is who I am."
Hmm.
And there's no getting away from that. So there's not one way to be black. So I think that's really just the takeaway here is that she spends her whole life thinking she's not black enough just because of pop culture and things that she can't relate to. But that's her own insecurities coming into play because she doesn't feel like she belongs. So that I think would be the biggest takeaway is to know that there's not one way to be black as long as you're comfortable in your skin.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Again, please make sure y'all go get the book. Please make sure you get the book. The
Yes,
kitchen isn't
please.
where you cook. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
no problem. So, last thing that we're going to get into. Curious to know: have you been on a magazine cover, in front of a magazine cover, or a newspaper?
No, I did. I did get an interview with the state news, which is Michigan State student newspaper, when it first came out, because they were doing a Black History Month series, and they knew that I was part of the sit-in in '89, and I was working at the state news at the time, and so they did a story on the book then. And then I had a few other online outlets, but no cover stories or anything.
No cover stories
Yet.
yet. We're gonna wait. Yes,
We'll
yet.
speak it into existence. Yeah.
Indeed, indeed. So speaking of speaking it into existence, this is what we have.
Unbelievable. I love it. That is such an old photo, but it's my favorite. So I use it everywhere. Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah, man.
Unbelievable. I
Reinvention,
almost
resilience,
did it.
and writing beyond the headlines. I
Oh
love it.
my gosh. I look legit. Look at that.
Yes. So this is our personal gift to you from the Dripping in Black
Oh,
family. We want to honor you for being so great with the Black excellence, and we want to
thank
support you and
you.
welcome you into the Dripping in Black
I
family
love it. Love
with the
it.
cover. So we will get this to you. You will have a physical copy of this as well.
Oh
So
my
yeah,
gosh.
so this is something that you can put up, and this is an honor from us to you
That's
about the Black excellence
amazing.
that you do.
Oh, thank you. So that was a trick question.
Well,
The answer.
I had to throw my little journalism type. I had to throw it in there. I had to get my journalism action there.
Once a journalist,
Be
always a journalist.
biased.
Love it. Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, real quick, let me ask this. So it says sports writer.
Yeah.
Favorite team?
Which sport?
Football, NFL.
Besides, I was going to say, it's Michigan State all day, every
Of
day. If you're
course,
talking
of course, yeah.
college, NFL, I'd have to say the Bears because I remember the 85 Bears. Of course, my father grew up in Chicago. I live outside of Chicago now. I saw Walter Payton get inducted in the Hall of Fame
Ah,
back in the day. I loved him, absolutely loved him. My brother wore his number when he played football. So definitely the Bears. And the Bulls, of course, in the 90s, grew up watching Michael Jordan and, BJ Armstrong and everyone else. Love that.
yeah.
Um, those are really the only two sports, but I like them all. I'm happy for the Lions fans. My husband's a Lions fan. Didn't grow up rooting for the Lions, but all my friends were. So I'm really happy for their fans that they're doing so well right now.
Yeah, indeed,
Yeah,
indeed. Okay,
love it.
cool,
Love it.
cool, cool. Well, you're up north with it. Of course, I'm down south with it. Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
these folks.
they're,
Yeah. Hopefully, we
they're
get it together this year. We'll see.
you and Trevor Lawrence definitely.
Yeah,
Newer franchise, way newer than the Bears though.
yeah,
We've
yeah,
been around for a while.
yeah, yeah. I'm currently watching the Dallas Cowboys documentary on.
Me too.
Oh my god. Oh man, let me
I'm
tell
not
you.
done.
Are you? What episode are you on right now?
5? No, I think we are about to start 6. I
Okay, cool.
believe.
Yeah, I think I'm on 5, and let me tell you that
It looks
thing is
good.
very good. The first
Isn't
two, I
it?
was like, "Oh, I'm watching all of this."
First episode, I said, this is done well. I thought it'd be like this big homage to Jerry Jones. I'm thinking, I don't want to watch that, but it's good. They go through all of it. They hold no punches.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's really good.
cool.
Love that.
Well, listen, we're not going to hold you too much longer. We greatly appreciate you for being on Dripping in Black. We honor you again. Hopefully, obviously, you like the cover that you were on. So, uh, but we thank you for being so dedicated to like sharing Black stories like this, because these stories are not shared a lot, as you know,
Right.
often. And it resonated, just a little bit that we talked about. It resonated with me, and I know it's going to resonate with a lot of people inside and outside of the Black culture. So we greatly appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to
Yeah.
be here.
And let the people know where they can find you at before we get up out of here.
CandaceJohnson.com. Instagram and threads is at Candy, CandyMC 87.
Indeed. Y'all make sure y'all follow her. Please make sure you grab the book and get to know her much more. And be on the lookout for her second novel. Her second novel will be coming out next year. So stay
Next
tuned
year,
on that.
hopefully. Yep. Yeah.
Indeed. All
Good.
right,
We'd
to my
love
Dripping
to
in
come
Black.
back to talk about it too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What'd you say?
I said I'd love to come back and talk about it when it comes out.
Absolutely. Listen, whenever you have any type of product or anything that you would like to share with us, you are the floor is yours. So just let
Thank
us
you
know.
so
We'll get
much.
you in the rotation for sure.
Yay.
Indeed.
I love it.
All right, so my people, Dripping in Black, thank you so much for hitting play. Thank you for sharing it. I know you out there sharing it because this is a great one. Please make sure that you go and share all the other stories as well. Go to drippinginblack.com and check out all the other shows that are happening. We are in season 6, y'all. Season 6 of a podcast is tremendous. All right, so I want to give special shots out and round of applause to Sean Smith and the Dripping in Black headquarters. Shouts out to the other guest co-host, Dominic Lawson. You will be seeing him around and around, and we might have a third person, not sure, but be on the lookout and make sure you subscribe to the channel and follow us, drippinginblack.com. And make sure you go to the Drip Shop and get one of these joints right here, like cups like these and mugs. Go to DIBKDripShop.com. All right? So, signing off, Mr. Al Pete. Be good to yourselves and be good to others and keep it black. To the top, y'all.
On the next Dripping in Black podcast, we get in the mix with Leah B.
Well, just the whole vibe of Detroit. Like, we
Right.
are just like, we are a hustle city. Like, not
I
just
feel that 100%.
not just not auto industry, but we a hustle city.
Yeah.
No matter, we grind, whatever. It is what it is. We gonna
Right.
make it work, make it happen. But the music, I don't know. We always had a gritty. Our music was always kind of gritty, I guess you can say.
Right.
And like,
Thanks for vibing with us. Keep the conversation going. Like, subscribe, and follow at DIBK20 on social media. Visit drippinginblack.com for all things Dripping in Black and DIBKDripShop.com for your drip and other merch. Until next time, be well and much love.
You have just experienced a Dripping in Black production.